Good morning, everybody. Happy Halloween. How y'all doing? I hope you like that Halloween intro. It was a Halloween tree, not a Christmas tree. That was ash from burning enemies on the ground, not snow. How are y'all doing? Speaking of ash, how was uh, your fortnight? No, not yet. I got to say hello to the chat. What's up, Turtle Dust? Mr. Tim Lilly, all the other lurkers out there. I think Tim um, kind of represents all the lurkers. Uh, we got Ben Toombs, we've got Jeff Killian, what up? And I'm sure other people are trailing in because our numbers are all right. But, all right, so welcome to Impractical Blacksmiths. I'm Yamez. I'm here with my co-hosts, Adam and Alexis from the other sides of the world. We've got Texas and Australia representing. Um, and stuff. it's been
and things
it's
and stuff.
it's and things and stuff and other doohickeys. Um, what's up, Zach? Yeah. Uh, it's been quite a couple of weeks. And one of the bigger news topics is actually going to be our topic of the week. Even though we have kind of not been doing topic of the week, we've just been chit-chatting. But yeah, first things first, I want to see where everybody's been and how everybody's been. So how was your fortnight? First, so y'all normally see me looking, at the camera for the chat. It's right here, so you guys are gonna see me shifting a lot. You guys get the bad side of me. So
You have a good
Yeah,
side?
so boom, dead air. I was gonna say, yeah, my 2 weeks has been fairly uneventful. I think I got like 3 days of work both weeks. Um, yeah, don't did anxiety issues, but I'm coping with it. No, not a big deal. Um, yeah. Let's see. In other news, yeah, nothing. Uh, uh, I mean, like literally, I worked last Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I played 7 Days to Die all day long. I started a new game with the District Zero mod, and just been doing that. And I'm on like day 17 in game, and I haven't died yet. So this is like the longest I've ever made it without getting smoked. And
Mhm.
it's just, I've been having a lot of fun with it, and of course now that I'm back working, it's probably going to be like a month before I touch it again. But that's the way
Right.
it goes sometimes.
Yeah, just wait till Zach and the rest of the crew gets back on a 7 Days to Die kick, and we can join your servers instead of you joining ours.
Right. And that's my fortnight pretty much. I got nothing else. Adam, how was your fortnight?
I have had a busy slash eye-opening and informative fortnight. Not so much. Okay, so as everyone knows, I work week on, week off. So that's the last week. Of course, I was working, but this week specifically, has been exceptionally busy and eye-opening. So, first of all, those of you that follow me on Instagram would have seen that the majority of my workshop is now built. All the corrugated iron is now on the workshop. On Tuesday, I had everybody's favourite from Speargrass Forge, Wilson, come out and help me put the rest of the corrugated iron up. And so in my workshop area, we'll be having I'll be helping him build a JBOD forge just for himself, and of course he'll probably be using Tiny. We're gonna pull Tiny out of the shed, give it a bit of clean off, and Tiny will probably be Wilson's anvil to use. And once I've still got to put the doors on it, I've still got to run electricity to it, but but the structure is up, and I'm starting to move stuff around my little work from where my little workshop is down to there, so I can start, setting up and start using that area as my new workshop. So that was the start of the week. A lot more of the week was spent up, moving, cleaning around the yard and stuff like that, mowing and slashing. It's coming into wet season here, so things are starting to grow and get out of control very quickly. But also, it's very wet. So that was the first thing. In a bit of news, everyone knows how much of a struggle it is for me to come across wrought iron here in the northern part of Australia specifically, but how wrought iron isn't so common across Australia. Now, this week I actually had the very, very good fortune of coming across a gentleman who works on a lot of historical buildings, and we worked out a trade deal where, for the cost of me hand forging him a few carpenter's chisels, he gave me 120 bars of about 3/4 inch wrought iron. Now, I know it's wrought iron because he gave me the location where he got this from, and it dates to the iron that I got dates to 1889. That's when it was installed on this particular building, or that's when this particular building was finished being constructed. The start of construction was 1887, and so steel wasn't as common across the world as iron was in use then, and so I know this is iron from the late 1880s. So I now have 120 bars of actual wrought iron that is traceable and has that provenance, and I can link it to the Northern Territory from the late 1800s, which does two things for me. A, gives me some stock to learn to work like real wrought a lot better, only if I'd had access to small amounts of wrought in the past. But also, this gentleman, like I said, works on historical buildings. He's a plasterer and renderer by trade, and so he's done a lot of work on historical buildings. So he actually now has me on his list of tradespeople that can work on historical buildings, because there's not very many blacksmiths where I am. So the ability to have an ironworker or a blacksmith to be able to reproduce and recreate stuff for historical buildings in my region, of course, they're generally government jobs and stuff like that, which is exciting. But now he has access to someone like me that can do that type of thing. And with the raw iron, I now have some sort of stock to be able to recreate or produce whatever items are necessary for whatever restoration that's doing. So there's no jobs specifically at the moment, but I'm now on his list for that in the future. The third thing, which was really, really interesting for me this week, is I have in reference to Alexis and her anxiety, I've actually kind of started a mental health journey of my own, in the sense of I found that there's a second flavor of bipolar this week. I didn't know there was a second flavor of bipolar. I've only ever known bipolar as, one type of mental health issue that, generally you have your peaks and your manics and your depressions, and you kind of go up and down. I found out this week that there's a type 2 of bipolar where you might have a hypomania, so it's not quite as peaked, and then you'll level out for a decent period of time, and then you might have a depressive episode, then you'll level out for a while, and you'll have a depressive episode, then you'll level out, then you might have a hypomania. And
it's called cyclothymatic disorder.
Okay. I hardly believe anything you say, Yames, because half the time you're BSing me. So
it's called cyclothymatic disorder. Trust me in this.
I only know as bipolar type 2. So anyway,
Maybe
I found
they're
that out
renaming
this week,
shit.
and maybe. But I found that out this week, and in conversations with my wife and whatnot, it ticked a few boxes for me. So this 2025, going into 2025, my wife knows that, you know, particularly when I'm in a down, I wouldn't say I'm depressed, but when I'm in a down period, I get very lethargic, I get very unmotivated, and whatnot. Also have a friend of ours that's a counselor, and she, when I was talking to her about it, she kind of went, "Oh, yes, no, you tick a lot of boxes for that." So over the course of this next year, as part of, you know, just looking after myself. I'm getting older. You know, the other week I told you guys that I found out I've got I'm starting to get arthritis in my hip and stuff like that. Of course, my health. If I want to look after my family and do the things that I want to do, my health is very important. So as a part of that, looking after my mental health is also very important. So I'm going to be, you know, over the course of next year, going to see some mental health professionals. Just not so much to get a diagnosis, but it's good to get, like, people go for a checkup on their health. You know, like particularly as you get older, it's a good idea to go for a checkup for your health. And that applies to your mental health as well. So, you know, whilst I may not have, you know, bipolar 2 or anything like that, but my wife and I decided in conjunction it's a good idea for me to start going, you know, go and get a mental health checkup as well. So, you know, in order to maintain, what's the old saying? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So, you know, and that's basically what I'm looking at doing. I don't think there's anything wrong with me. I'm a lunatic as it is, so nothing's going to change that. But yeah, just do a little bit to help look after myself a little bit better going forward, so that I'm in a good place and maintaining my health, not only physical but mental. And this is something I've always believed in anyway. Going back to the ancient Greeks said, you know, a healthy body needs a healthy mind. So, you know, in order to maintain my health overall, go and talk to someone about, you know, issues and all that type of thing to make sure that I'm in peak health. So like I said, this has been an eventful week for me, not only getting the workshop built, but also getting the iron, and also finding out this thing that, you know, may be something that affects me on some form. Again, talking to my friend that's a counselor, she said, you know, personality disorders, including bipolar and that type of thing, are on a spectrum. You know, not everyone fits into hard categories. It's a flowing thing. So, you know, she goes, it's good to go talk to someone anyway. So I'll be doing that. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yes, and like Ben said, that's they have flavors. Yes, apparently they have flavors. I didn't know they had different flavors of bipolar either, and that really slapped me in the face. So we're like, ooh. So yeah. Yes, I have a lot of conversations with Whatnot too. They're child us.
Who's Whatnot?
So yeah, it's the distant customer thing of what's his name, and who you call it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I partied with them last week.
It's the Australian cousin. So yeah.
So how about you, Alexis?
She already answered.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the wrong cigarette I smoked.
I was going to add in. I'm glad you're going to go see a therapist there, Adam. I strongly believe that the people that need to see a therapist the most are the people that aren't seeing a therapist. It definitely does everybody good. It makes things a lot easier sometimes, especially when you're turning stuff over in your brain constantly, and you'd be like, look. But yeah, so that's I'm glad for you. Oh, I wanted to ask, did you run water to your shop?
Not yet, but I will be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the plan with the shop at the moment is I've got the walls up. I've got to backfill the dirt side. So I've got half concrete, half area for dirt or gravel flooring, which is where the hot work side's going to be. I've got it's about 50 odd meters, or what's that, 150 odd feet from where the junction box for the bore pump or the well pump is located. So I've got three phase power all the way to the house, but it's three phase to there. So the plan is to run water and directly from the bore to some tanks, which will be set up at the workshop, and electricity with that. So I'll be running three phase to a standalone post outside the workshop, because that way I don't have to get the workshop coded. And then also at some stage in the future, putting a septic system down there as well. Septic has to be, by law here in the Northern Territory, has to be at least 100 meters away or 100 yards away from where the bore is, or the well is located. So I have to figure out where I can put, like I said, the workshop's about 60 odd meters away from where the well is. So I've got to figure out where's close enough but far enough away, close enough to the workshop but far enough away from the well that I can put a septic, because I intend on putting some an ablutions block down there. So in the future, and I've said this in the past, that I'd like to hold hammer-ins and stuff like that at my place in the future, where blacksmiths from around Australia or around the world can come to my place, hang out, camp out, and we'll be able to do some forging. In order to do that, I've got to have an ablutions block, and also
What is that?
an ablution block.
It's
Yeah, that.
ablutions, sinks and toiletries
Sinks,
and
bathrooms, shower. Yeah, so it's like a standalone, like campground bathroom.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that way I also have a bathroom down in my workshop as well, shower, that type of thing for people that camp in there. And also, like most people don't know, but my wife has actually recently completed her yoga teacher's training. So she's now a qualified yoga teacher, and she wants a studio as well. So eventually down towards that area, so people aren't coming up towards the house, I'll be putting a studio for her as well. So that way there's some, she likes to do yoga outside, but when it's raining, she can't do that. So, there'll be like a garden space down there for her to have classes and do yoga, but they can also do it inside, and that caters for, if she has clients around and that type of stuff as well. We're it may not seem like it, but my wife and I are a little bit are kind of hippies. She's a Reiki healer as well, so she'll be having clients for that type of thing as well. So that way, when she has clients and they're down there, they've got somewhere to do do their business if they need to as well. And I did ask her, you sure you want that your studio down near my workshop, considering I'll be banging and crashing. You're trying to do some sort of nice hippie Reiki healing. And, you got ding 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 in the background. She's like, no, we'll notch it up as sound therapy or something. So yeah, but So I will be having water and electricity and septic down there as a standalone system to what's near the house. Yes. It's just one of those things that are in the plan, because all this type of shit costs money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but that's
building
it.
a regular old complex.
Kind of, yeah. That's the plan. I've got 40 acres. Why not? It's not like I'm farming. I mean, I do intend on having some sort of livestock. I want to get goats and whatnot, but I'm not farming in the traditional sense of I don't have, any sort
Can't
of
tell
crop.
what it is yet.
I haven't got cropping here. So, I wanted to leave a lot of my block natural bush. So, setting it up so it's a little bit nicer, a little bit of a place where people can come and chill out and camp and whatnot. That's the plan.
Nice.
Anyway, and I just dropped me smoke. I'll be back.
But yeah, as for my week, because as I understand it, Alexis already went twice, I guess. My 2 weeks. A lot going on, a lot of stuff I'd rather not really get into. But in a nutshell, a lot of changes around here that we're gonna have to deal with and figure out. And that's about it for my week. You know, just been the same old usual busyness. I'd like to take a moment though before we jump onto a topic to say hi to everybody who popped in while we were doing our morning uh, hellos. You know, Mr. Goodamoots here. We got Robert Whitney popping in. Um, hello, hello, hello. Who else? I saw one other. Grandad's Forge popped in. So how do? And you know, if Thomas is here, he's probably got Roy listening in the background. Although Thomas did say he's off work right now, healing, and we're his only company. But I will say, Adam, you had touched upon antique restoration and architectural restoration and whatnot, which kind of broaches on our topic of, sort of to celebrate or to kind of give like a clap to the reopening of Notre Dame Cathedral, which 5 years ago, I believe it was April in 2019, the upper timbers caught fire. And I like how the reports that I was seeing, it's like it's either a cigarette or an electrical fire. It's like, I wasn't there. I promise I wasn't there. What's up, Boar? But yeah, so I remember us kind of covering it or discussing the cathedral burning down or catching on fire and all that stuff back in 2019. I remember, like, that's how long we've been live streaming it. I remember us discussing it. But
Yeah, I was still living at Finn Road then.
right. Yeah, a lot, it's like, but they're still working on the outside of it, like the kind of the finer detail work that's not really structural, but like to go from gaping holes in this antique masonry or like this almost 1,000-year-old masonry to like having its opening ceremony, reopening ceremony, and being able to have guests come in 5 years, like, holy shit. Like, yeah, I was doing a bit of research, and I've checked in on his progress over the years because it does interest me, um because what they're doing is they're rebuilding, like, especially the lumber. Like, all the documentaries currently out right now are about the lumber and the woodwork and the carpentry that's going into it. Like, surprisingly very little discussing the stonemasons and the blacksmiths that are working on it. But like some 1,000 oak trees for the rebuild, like how they hired a blacksmith from or they brought on a blacksmith from Montreal to make period correct tools for the craftsmen that were working at the carpenters and the stonemasons and whatnot to work on it, you know, like they used to. Yeah, they had modern day cranes and all that stuff, and electricity, for lighting and all that stuff. But like, you see them preparing all these, oak trees, and they're doing it with hand axes, and they're, hand axes, two-person saws, the band saws, you know, um, and like the old techniques of doing it. The what is it called? Draw knives. How is that escaping me? And it's fascinating, uh, all that went into it. Like, it was almost like a military. I mean, it essentially was a military operation without actually being a military operation, because the guy that took on the rebuild originally, the first guy, was a retired, French army general, and basically ran it like a military operation, but bringing on private contractors. I believe 250 different uh, craftsmen that are professionals in their own fields. Like, holy cow, some of the stats that are coming out from this, you know. But yeah, I'm just gonna. Anybody else tag in?
Well, like you said, like everything I've personally been able to find online as well, and I am also interested in the reconstruction of Notre Dame, simply because like for those, most of you have been listening or watching us since 2019. So you may remember this conversation. We're talking about how they discovered inside the stone arches and stuff like that. There were iron staples, or iron butterflies and stuff like that that helped hold the stones together, which suggested that even back in medieval times, when the Notre Dame Cathedral was built, that these craftsmen were closer together. Alexis?
No, I was doing math in my head of when I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about that back then and how these craftsmen, like, not only would a blacksmith been on site, not just to sharpen tools and repair tools and whatnot, but they were working closely with these other craftsmen in order to construct the cathedral. And from all the information that's currently online, like Yama said, it's a lot of it's focusing on the carpenters and whatnot. There's a very little information about the blacksmith that was making the axes and whatnot. Again, if I'm saying whatnot again, I'm going to try and avoid saying that term. But yeah, so there's the blacksmith that was making the axes, but there's no real information about that cross-disciplinary cooperation in the reconstruction, the rebuilding of Notre Dame.
And
And
you
look,
know
the
it has
inside
to.
has
It has to be there too, with how quickly they worked. You
yeah.
know how efficient they were.
And there would have been, like you said, there's 250 odd tradespeople. Not all of them were carpenters. A good amount of them would be stonemasons. And I reckon, and just from the conversations and what I've heard over the last couple of years regarding smiths that have gone and or been approached to do ironwork and stuff like that, at Notre Dame, there would have been at least I believe 50 odd smiths that were working on that project as well. So if you're thinking 50 smiths, 100 odd carpenters and 100 odd stonemasons, that's probably a bigger workforce than they had of those trades than the ones that were building it originally, which also accounts for how quickly it's gone back up, at least to a usable condition. Now, looking inside the Notre Dame Cathedral, looking at the pictures of inside of the Notre Dame Cathedral, it looks brand spanking new, but it looks gorgeous. In my opinion, it looks better than what it used to look like, because I mean you had 200 odd years, 500 odd, 700 odd years of grime in the cathedral, and now it looks like it's made of marble. It is absolutely stunning. But and that's a testament to the craftsmanship of every single craftsman that has gone into that refurbishment, that rebuilding. They've done some amazing work, from the stonemasons to the carpenters, and especially in our occupation, in our vocation, the smiths. Even though the smiths' work might not be as obvious as the stonemasons or the carpenters, in that level of craftsmanship that would have had to be there, that may not be seen. Okay, you might see it in the sconces and all that type of thing, but what you can't see is tantamount to the level of skill that they had. In saying that, because of that lack of information online, I'm a firm believer that a
In
media
depth.
conglomerate, a media conglomerate like perhaps Discovery or or the History Channel or something like that. I reckon that they
Aliens!
may have been, yeah, I reckon they may have been a contributor to the funds in the reconstruction of Notre Dame in return for exclusive access and being able to film some of the reconstruction, and of course, you know, the blacksmithing and the stonemasonry that went into that. We know that there was a lot of archaeology that went along with the reconstruction as well. So there's a lot of information that probably can't be released in relation to, you know, the papers that still have to be completed and printed and distributed in regards to the archaeology itself. But then, of course, there's probably a lot of information that hasn't come out simply because, you know, whatever media conglomerate got the rights to film the reconstruction process of probably in the process of editing and putting those series out now. You know, it's probably something that will happen in the new year or you know, in conjunction with World History Week or something like that. Go ahead, Yamis.
History Channel got it, and they're going to announce and report what we all already know, is that during the archaeological dig on the floor of the main cathedral, they found both the ley lines that coincide with a buried alien spaceship. Okay, and that is what powered the stones and created the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was a true character, not a fictional character. Yeah, but it is going to be History Channel. That's going to be the story.
I was in the Notre Dame Cathedral 29 years ago this month. I was there on December 30th, 1995. And when I went, so it was raining that day. It was just a light rain all day long, daylight to dark, and it rained on through until the next morning. And then we just had fog for all of New Year's Eve. But going inside the Notre Dame, when it was just that there's overcast and a slight drizzle, I couldn't see a damn thing inside there. I mean, like, it was so dark. I mean, like, because the only lighting was from the stained glass windows, and when the sun's not out, not very much light penetrates it. I mean, like, it took like a solid 4 or 5 minutes for my eyes to adjust to be able to see what was going on in there. And so it's like, when, you know, they're talking about, you know, it could have been an electrical fire. I was thinking to myself, it was like, I didn't even know they had electricity in there, because they still had, they were burning candles. You know, like when I was there, there were candles on little things along the way. And I don't know, maybe they were just saving electricity because it was just a touristy day. It wasn't an actual, you know, actually in use for prayer at the time, or you know, on that day. I mean, they still do mass there, or they did.
I would imagine.
No,
I would imagine. And I don't know this for sure. I would imagine that at some point they had run some form of electricity through, you know, to certain parts, and especially in a modern world where
you would think they would have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, even as one of the wonders of the world. I mean, even the Colosseum has you know, electrical put into it for things, while not like
The
following code,
pyramids.
like an outlet every blah blah. Yeah, like it's. It'd be hard pressed for me to believe that there's no electricity in the building. You know, I get your point of like, yeah, you know, but electricity for convenience, less so for a like, if I were to go in there and do like a lighting design for it and shine, you know, like high bay lights upwards towards the vaulting and the cornice work and all that stuff to highlight the work. So your point for it being
well,
done, yeah,
I mean,
but yeah.
Well, okay, so when it was originally constructed, you know, pre-electric, it was constructed with the intention of natural lighting, you know, and very very limited artificial lighting, you know, being candles, torches, whatever, you know. And so, I mean, like, I'm sure at some point somebody's like, hey, you know, it'd be really nice to get some lights up in here. But I'm just saying, like, when I went and visited it, I assumed it didn't have electricity because it's, you know, 1,000-year-old cathedral. But that, you know, so maybe I just didn't notice any of it because I just assumed they didn't have it. You know what I mean?
But
Right.
to add to that note, that's also, I reckon, as I said before, we have, before it burnt down, there were several hundred years of grime and whatnot that were inside the cathedral that would have come from candle smoke and torches and all that type of thing, which would have made it, even if there was electric lights, would have made it look a lot darker.
Yeah.
Simply because the light wasn't able to reflect as much, and that's why I'm saying, I said, like, if you like the pictures that have been released of the inside of the cathedral now are absolutely stunning. I'm not a practicing Christian by any
But
stretch
you
of the
can
imagination.
appreciate
However,
architectural beauty.
yeah, and I can appreciate the religious beauty in it as well. It is gorgeous, and it is awesome in the actual meaning of the word awesome. You can see just from the pictures that it inspires awe, and now it's all white and gleaming, and not only would they have taken the opportunity to run probably better electrical systems through, to highlight those architectural features like you both were discussing, but now it's going to give um, a different impact, because it's not going to have that 700 years of candle sort or 500 years of candle sort or whatnot. It's going to really be able to show those features um, as they would have been originally, when it was first built, and it was a point of a religion. It would cause religious awe, and inspire, that reverence for the church and for God, um, which is wonderful. So there's that opportunity to bring it into up to modern standards while still maintaining that original design and original aesthetic, which I think is wonderful as well. And like we were discussing, the Colosseum, the ancient Egyptian pyramids, all that type of thing, they all have um, electrical, lighting and whatnot. And it's also, I think it's really a really important point to make, is that this last 5 years specifically, we've had made some wonderful advancements in the knowledge of ancient technologies. In the sense of, like we just discussed, the iron that went into Notre Cathedral, Roman concrete, the actual chemical composition, and how Roman concrete's made. We're making advances in techniques on how they work stone and all that type of thing. So it's been really, really interesting these last few years that we've been on the air, of these really in-depth advances we've made into technologies and techniques that apply to us in the modern day, to allow us to connect with the past, particularly in a trade and vocation like we are. Allow us to go, oh, these are techniques and things that we knew academically that they were using hundreds of years ago, but to actually see them in use, and whatever media conglomerate that is doing these documentaries, or may do these documentaries on the rebuilding Notre Dame Cathedral, I'm actually really looking forward to those things coming out, because it will be an opportunity to sit down and watch and go, these are techniques that I use now that they were using hundreds of years ago, and can give us that actual tangible link to our past of this trade, which I really love as someone that loves history and all that type of thing. It gives me butterflies in the stomach, makes me really excited.
Yeah, it's I remember the Roman concrete. I remember when they discovered the secret to Roman concrete, and it was coincidentally last year when we were going over the rise and fall of Rome. You know, it's like we're in the middle of it, and it was like, did you know a couple of days ago they discovered Roman concrete, and it's like, No shit, really? And I think we did a whole segment on it. Yeah.
Mm.
It has been an interesting few years, and I really think that some of the insights into ancient um, technologies and methods, you're right, really did come out. Probably, a good chunk of them from the medieval, going into the medieval construction, was them studying, you know, the rebuild the rebuild of Notre Dame, because what you got to do is to do it right for what it is. You have to kind of know how they did it in the past. So, upping the people digging into it, upping the amount of people that are like researching that particular set of skills and that for that particular time frame. So of course I could really argue and say without like purely hypothetical argument, but like a super educated guess on how the world works, that a lot of these ancient technological discoveries from the past 5 years very likely have been from directly impacted by the uptick of research going into how to properly rebuild Notre Dame. Like, I mean, does that ring for you guys? I mean, that's what kind of ticks in here.
Yeah, but in conjunction with that, I think that there's going to be brought back, or at least some focus on some skills that have been, I wouldn't, not so much lost, but for lack of a better term, lost. Like, for example, how to use a rock drill.
Right.
And because that's a technique that probably hasn't been used for the last 150 years since the invention. It'd be going on 150 years because mechanical rock drills have been around for at least 150 years, whereas manual rock drills are a lot older than that. And
Yeah.
considering the age of the Notre Dame Cathedral, it would have been manual rock drills that were being used. And did you have something to say, Alexis?
Oh, I was going to say instead of lost, it's more like the techniques weren't necessarily lost; they were replaced with improved technology along the way.
Yeah, superseded. Yeah.
Super. That's the
So
word. That's the word. Superseded.
yeah, so the ability to use a rock drill would have, well, not so much been rediscovered, but those techniques would have been refined.
Yeah.
There's now a handful of people out there that, a handful of stonemasons that actually know now how to use a rock drill by hand,
They
and
can
in
recognize
conjunction.
and they can recognize the mark, the indications that a rock drill of that style was used. Like, yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah, and that also helps with the archaeology in the sense of those, because they have used, even if they're iron rock drills, they can now recognize, okay, a copper rock drill of this type might have been used, so that will help archaeology and our understanding of history going back even further. But there's also, like, for example, the sharpening of mechanical rock drills and shaping of mechanical rock drills that has been used for the last 200 odd years, 150 odd years. That skill would have been different to the shaping and sharpening and whatnot of hand rock drills. So there's now a group of smiths that know the techniques required for how hand rock drills were sharpened. And so there's and also, like, we know about I mean, even in the book I've got now about making, and you guys have attempted to make them, drill bits, be it that spoon bits or twist drill bits, or whatnot. There's now because they were working with the carpenters, there's now a group of smiths that have a first-hand and detailed experience on how to make those by hand, which again is a skill that was superseded by manufacturing, by modern manufacturing standards. And you guys know better than anyone just how challenging they can be to make,
I
because
don't
you
know what
guys
you're
have
talking about.
made them.
Mine was easy.
but so those superseded skills, there's now a group of people that have an appreciation of how they were actually done, which helps. And as long as that information is shared, because I'm sure, and I am really hoping that it is, despite the fact that there's still a lot of European secrecy around techniques and stuff like that. I'm hoping that those people involved publish something and pass those skills out, get them out to the wider blacksmithing community, because we can all benefit. And the more people that know, the less likelihood we get for what's happened in the last 100 years, where the knowledge of how certain things are done, I wouldn't say is lost, but is very hard or challenging to find. So I'm hoping those smiths get that information out there and share it with the broader community, and get that. It actually kind of makes me wonder if, because I haven't seen Dan Moss post anything online for a long time, and it makes me wonder, maybe he had something in there and he couldn't post anything. We all know that when someone gets having us knowing people that have been involved with television productions, we all know they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and they can't post anything. They can't make videos and stuff like that. They have to shut down their online presence. So it may be, there's all pure speculation. I don't know anything. I can't say anything. I'm not talking from a platform of knowledge here. This is pure speculation. I don't know Dan personally, so I've never even spoken to Mr. Moss. You guys have, but I haven't.
And he does do a lot of like railings and gratings and gates and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it is kind of up his alley too. So it's possible.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, in the last couple of years, he's dropped off the planet.
Yep.
And I would say from late 2019, he kind of went, and disappeared. Like I said, pure speculation. I don't know. I'm not asking for confirmation or anything, Ben, either, because I wouldn't want to. If he was doing something like that, I wouldn't want to cause him
Blow
any
his
legal
cover.
drama. Yeah. Yeah, well, Ben said they talk life, not smithing. So, but UK being relatively close to the UK being relatively close to France, I know it's only a couple of hours across even not even that, a 40-minute train ride across the English Channel. So, proximity,
Yeah, I mean,
knowledge.
I came from Germany. It took me 4 hours to get there. I mean,
so like I said, don't hit him up there, Ben. I was just speculating, but I'm saying, like if he, I feel confident in what I know of him. Again, I don't know him personally. You guys do, I don't. But I feel confident that if he was a part of that project, that he would likely spread that information, because he's that type of person. He would get that information out there to try and spread that knowledge, to keep that knowledge, to bring that knowledge back to life in the community. So yeah. Anyway, that's just my speculation. But I'm glad Notre Dame's back up and running, and better than its former glory.
Yeah, that actually kind of goes
yeah.
into that actually kind of goes into my final thought, which is a bit of a long one on it, but yeah.
Okay, so who's going to go first with final thoughts? Alexis, do you want to go first?
Sure. Let me. Um. Um. Yeah, I don't.
Kind
I'm
of
glad they
kind of
got
one
the
of
Notre
those.
Dame open again. And I mean, because I honestly, it's a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a 10, 15-year journey, of trying to piece it back together and this, that, and the other. But I'm sure there was a great deal of photographic evidence about how it was all like, shaped and all that beforehand. Even way up there. I mean, because I mean, like that ceiling was way up there. So I'm glad they got it put back together and opened up. And might have to, when I get home, I'm gonna have to look up the stuff on it, because I literally have not seen a picture. The last picture I saw of it was when it was actually on fire. So
Yeah, no, it's pretty
that would be
amazing.
the most recent picture, I should say.
My final thoughts are, it's amazing that it's up and running again. I'm really looking forward to the information that's that no doubtedly will be released in the coming month. Like Alexis, I thought this was going to be a 10, 15-year project. But the money and the resources that have been extended in order to get this done, and I understand it's not finished yet. It's back to a usable state. There's still a lot of things that have to be finished, but the fact that it is now at this usable state was a lot faster than I anticipated as well. I like Alexa said, I thought it was going to be a 10, 15, maybe even 20-year project, considering it took, the better part of a couple of decades to build in the first place. It was 200 years or something.
Century,
Yeah, better part of
200
100
years.
years. Yeah.
Yeah,
To build in the first place, okay, that was with a lot more restricted technologies, and today we have, at least the speed of the mining of the stone, for example. If they replace the stone, that would have been a lot reduced, considering, and the transport, because we've got modern transport and we've got modern machinery to mine the stone and stuff like that. At least that would have been cut down, which I'm sure would have reduced the construction time significantly. And we have modern cranes and whatnot, and safety and modern safety considerations as well. So sure, that cut down a lot of time also. But in saying that, like I said, I'm excited for the information that's going to come out in the coming years. And I'm also keen to see what the final outcome of the construction is, how good it looks. Yames, your final thoughts. You said it's a long one.
yeah. So my final thoughts on this topic at this point, on the subject of the rebuilding of Notre Dame at this point, um, take away the skills, take away the numbers, take away uh, the material bones of it all. Okay, and you're left with people. 250 specified craftsmen, ranging from carpentry, stone, metal, archaeologists, artistic historians, renovation specialists, cleanup specialists, all the people that had a hand, whose names now are entombed in history. In and this was people from all over the globe. You know, you look at the history of Notre Dame when
Nope,
it
you
was
just
first
go,
built.
and I'll slide up in behind you, and I'll catch you on the hills and give you a bump.
Heard. The history of the of the original building and everything like that. We have a lot on its construction. We have a lot on, the priest, the cardinal, or whoever at the time. But you don't know the names of we don't even have the name of the original architect, or any of the people who actually actively built the place. all the names of the people who worked on its rebuild this most recent time, all their names are on a scroll that is, if you know anything about uh, the structure, the Notre Dame structure, that giant spire that comes out of the middle of the cross has um, a rooster on top that's hollow. And there were some historical artifacts that were stored in there previously. Those are returned in addition to, I believe, pieces of the alleged crown of thorns and a scroll of all the people who worked on it. At the base of it, Macron, the French president, had carved in the name of the general who initiated the project, who did die during its construction. But you have the people. The people are the most important thing. The people across the globe who sent in financial contributions. The people across the globe who came together and said, "I have the skills to help." All of these people working on one construction site, doing some of the most amazing work in modern times, blending that antique technique with modern safety protocols, modern building knowledge. You have a unique opportunity now for the people who actively participated, from the person pushing the broom up to the person directing the entire thing, all recorded in history in a building that will probably last another 1,000 years. So when you look at these massive scale projects, I don't want anybody to forget the people involved, the friends that they've made. They became, for the past 5 years, they've worked together and essentially become in an exclusive club of those who will go down in history as partaking in this endeavor. So yeah, that's kind of that's one thing that really struck out with me to this, this whole process throughout it all. So and with that, to the much smaller scale, this channel and all the people who have supported it, helped it, built it, it's like we live in a digital age. All y'all's names are in the books, for our history. So thank y'all for the support. And just remember, people is the most important ingredient to Soylent Green. So with that, guys, click that like button. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for putting up with me and Adam and Alexis. And we will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Right?
Bye, guys. Alexis is driving, so bye from her too.
Yes. Adios.